Hey guys, Ben here from Velflex. Now I'm going to go through the Hotronix Auto Clam, the STX 16 with you. Now guys, this particular one, this model, the 16, is my favorite of all time clamshell presses. Guys, the 16 stands for 40 centimeter by 40 centimeter. And what we're talking about there is the size of the top plate, okay? It's the size of the plate, top and bottom, that comes with the press. Now there is the STX 15, there's the STX 20 as well. The 20 just being 40 centimeters by 50 centimeters. But guys, I want to tell you today why this particular press is one of my favorites. Now, if we look at it here, okay, it's a clamshell. Now, if we're looking at the actual unit itself, as I was talking about the base, I can show you right now, interchangeable base plates, okay? So guys, we can take this base straight off, okay? It's pin loaded just like that there, and there's a quick release on the side. Now, the beauty of that is, if I've got that plate there, all of a sudden now I'm doing some women's and children's tops. Okay, I can go and change the base plate off, drop the pin in, drop it down in, lock it in, job done. I can now slide some smaller shirts on right there. Or, you know, the women's running tops, singlets and things like that. I don't want to stretch them, sliding them on. Now guys, this is really important when we talk about sliding shirts on. Let me show you. Okay, so what you'll see here as well, one of the accessories for the STX range is the table Caddie. Now, if I'm sliding this on, right, see how I can slide it all the way to the back, okay? I can get this shirt on easily, and this shirt is made all the way to the back, and it's not needing to pull or gather. Now, what I mean by, if we have a bit of a look here, we can see the feet, okay? Now this feet, if this press here was sitting on the table, what would happen is, as I slid it on, we'd find that the shirt has to gather at the feet because the table there wouldn't allow it to slide back. The table Caddie lifts the press up not only to a better working height, because as you can see now, I'm actually able to use this press. My arms bent, hands are just below my elbows. So that's a perfect looking height. I'm not bending over too much working down. I'm here, perfect height, able to see my transfers, slide the shirt on and off, and the shirt can be threadless all the way to the back of the garment. That's really beneficial when you're trying to slide things on, so you're not gathering the shirt or stretching the shirt and you haven't got any creases. So guys, one thing I like, it's the table Caddie. Now, when we look at the actual press itself, okay, on top, we can see here, big magnet. Now, this magnet right here, it's an auto release. So when I lock it down, okay, it's gonna hold in. We're gonna count down right now, and it's gonna give me a warning a few seconds before it's gonna release, and it's gonna pop up. Benefit of this one is, as we're pressing away, just like that, as we're pressing away, if there's a phone call in the office or someone distracts you or asks you a question, turn around, it buzzes, you're not going to be burning those shirts because you've missed it. So it's one of those efficiency things. With an auto release as well, now we look at this as just a clamshell. If you were to have two presses working beside each other, you could be dual pressing on these two heat presses. So that way you've got double efficiency. Set this one up, pull it down, cool, while it's heat pressing, I can now set this one up, peel the transfer, load the shirt on. When it's ready, it just auto pops up. I'm finishing in this one, then I can come back, pull it down, move on to this one. So that auto release, not only beneficial for when you're using just the one press, it allows you to upgrade to go to two, and you've got this dual action happening. Now guys, not only is it auto release, now we've got obviously pressure gauge, pressure dial right here where we screw the pressure up and down, but we do get a digital pressure reading, okay? That digital pressure reading, when we lock it in, if we have a look, gives us a good number in terms of what that pressure is at, 1 being the lowest pressure, and then right up to 9, which is our maximum pressure. And this is really important, it is measuring pressure. So if you're doing a hoodie, that sort of thing, and you get in a 5 or a 6, okay, and then you change over to t-shirts being thinner garments, well then without changing the dial, you load a thinner garment on, you're now gonna get less pressure because there's less thickness. And that gauge is gonna tell you it's now a 3. And what that's going to do, you're going to go, oh, 3, that's too low. I'm going to tighten up this. I'm going to lower the plate, screw it clockwise, and I'm going to get that back to a 5 so that I've got even pressure between the hoodie and the t-shirt as well. Now, if we're looking at the display here as well, okay, if we're looking, we've got temperature, okay, we've got timer 1, okay? Oh, so this is the temperature we've got it set at, so we're set at 140. When I click the mode again, we go to timer 1, okay? It's set at 10 seconds, and then we've got timer 2, which is 5 seconds in this particular machine here. Now, timer 1 and timer 2, timer 1, timer 2 allows us to do a pre-press and an application and have 2 different times. Or maybe I'm doing an application and then I'm doing a post-press. And we certainly don't necessarily need to be doing 10 seconds for both. We just want to do 10 seconds for the application, 5 seconds for the post-press, okay? Or you might want to do it the other way, 5-second pre-press, 10-second application, okay? So that's where timer 1 and timer 2 comes into it. If you just don't want to, if you don't want to have the 2 timers, you just set them both to the old 10 seconds or both to 8 seconds, and every press is at that 8 seconds. Guys, here, as we can see, it's sometimes under the hood that makes these presses really where their value comes in. Now, this particular one here, the STX, what we don't see is in the top plate here, what we see is absolutely a perfect flat top plate. Now, people don't think about when they're buying heat presses, but that makes a big difference, okay? You can sometimes get cheaper presses where they're actually a little bit concaved or convexed, you know, and sticking out, and you'll get more or less pressure around the plate depending, simply because your top plate is not absolutely perfectly flat. And certainly cheaper presses over time, that top plate can also warp, okay, as well, which again just causes uneven pressure. Inside, what we don't see under the hood or in the top plate is the coil system, okay? So in a Hotronix STX, you've got that coil S-ing all the way through the top plate. Now, it's a coil all the way through so that it can heat up quickly when you start pressing. So as soon as you start pressing, you're sucking all that heat out, it can turn on and heat up really quickly, and you don't get any hot spots, okay? There's a lifetime warranty on these heating elements as well on the top plates. So guys, we know that they last, okay? This is not a machine that's going to be breaking down in the next 6, 12 months or anything like that. These machines last, you'll have them for years and years and years. When we're talking about base plates, guys, and if I was to grab one of say this one here, cool, and I flip it over, if I'm going to take this off, right underneath this is a Teflon cover, right? So when we're talking about accessories, you'll see each one of the plates here, we've just taped Teflon on this one, but this one here, we've actually got the sleeve for. We've got the actual base plate Teflon covers for this size as well. But what I want to show you is the thickness of the metal base. Now, you don't think this is important, but it really is, right? One way of making a heat press a little bit more cost effective is to reduce the amount of metal that's used in all its components. And one of them that they reduce is the thickness of this actual base plate, and they use just spines trying to give it strength. But thin layer of metal there heats up very quickly, but also cools down very quickly. And then what they do is they put a much thinner pad here as well. Sometimes they even use foam, right? Because it's just more cost effective. And what ends up happening is you have this insulator, but also you have thin metal that heats up, cools down really quick. So as you're pressing, your base plate is heating up, cooling down, heating up, cooling down. And when a base plate is hot, it's heating your transfer, your garment from the bottom side, and it's working in conjunction with the top. And when it cools down, it's actually sucking heat out of that garment and transfer and sucking heat, so it's reducing the heat from the transfer. So what you might have between 5 applications, you might have your base plate heating up where it's helping, and then it's cooling down where it's actually worsening that temperature. And you wonder why you're getting inconsistencies in your application. And it's not even to do with the top plate, it's all to do with the base plate. Guys, really important, nice solid base plate, a lot more metal. That metal holds the heat and retains it, so it's a lot more stable, so that you have consistent applications, consistent pressing for your garments. Always put a Teflon cover on your base plates, guys. Absolutely imperative. It makes it so easy to slide your garments on and off, making applications much faster. Guys, this particular press here, it's the Hotronix STX, it's the Auto Clam. This particular model is your 16, which is your 40 centimeter by 40 centimeter. one of my all-time favorites. One thing that I didn't show you was the size here. When we go 40 by 40, we have a huge gap at the back as well. So this is really important when we're actually sliding garments on, especially hoodies as well. When we're sliding hoodies on and you've got pockets and you've got big bulk sort of bit of fabric at the back, right? If I slide that on just like that, nice and easy. See this here? I've got plenty of height to the top plate. There's no fear of me burning my fingers, okay? So by sliding it on, plenty of room, I'm not gonna burn my fingers, and I've also got plenty of visual down to see where I'm placing that transfer. Guys, one of my favorites. If you want more information, make sure you check it out. Velflex.com.au, master distributor for all Hotronix presses. But my personal favorite is, as far as the clamshells go, guys, this here, the STX 16.